Well, folks, we enter a new episode of Speed Street this week. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've had an accident, honestly, like a big crash and been on the show to talk about it. Thankfully, I don't crash a lot, which is nice, but a lot to talk about from the weekend in Portland. My name is Connor Daly. If you don't know who I am, if you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. You're in for a banger. There's a lot going on right now, and there's an IndyCar champion to celebrate. There's an IndyCar race winner, a first-time winner this year, obviously a multi-time race winner, many-time race winner, but a first for Penske this year, and that's great to see. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff there that we'll talk about that makes it kind of cool and special. So very good to see that for Will Power, who will be on the show with us. Will Power is obviously he's a great guest. We really enjoy talking to Will Power. But I was in the number 76 Juncos Hollinger Racing Chevrolet, the AM/PM Chevrolet Arco as well over the weekend. Probably one of the top three worst situational weekends of my life, or potentially just worst weekends ever, really, for a lot of reasons. And it also really hurt as well at the end of the weekend. So we'll get into that. We'll chat about it. But Chase, we're recording this late on a Monday night. I had to fly to Charlotte today, Monday. I got home from Portland at 3:30 in the morning Monday, and then obviously it's now Monday night. Flew to Charlotte for the simulator tomorrow, and normally Stingray and I split the simulator. We have both drivers there for the day, so we kind of split up the days a couple hours at a time. But I will be the only driver on the sim this week because Stingray was the only one who did the day last week, as I was gone last week and had other things to do. So I can't record tomorrow during Tuesday, but we will have our interview with Will Power, which is going to be awesome. So this is like a Speed Street late night edition, but yeah, you could be watching or listening to this any time of the day. So we appreciate you folks for doing so. And Chase, I want to get your thoughts on the Portland race. Your initial thoughts on the event. The race I heard was actually quite good. There were a lot of drivers who came from the back to the front. There was a champion crowned, and we had a new winner for the year. So that's usually a good thing.
Yeah, to start off, best race of the weekend, hands down. There was a lot of racing, NASCAR. I know we had the Knoxville Nationals over the weekend, which that was cool in its own way. But as far as like I would say the top racing in America, IndyCar took the crown. The race, I tried to get as many people that were upset at the NASCAR race and how boring it was to be like, well, hey, that's over now. You can still watch final laps of IndyCar. I feel like that transpired pretty well because the race was close all the way down to the finish. And I think that that's what really counts here. Like that's, there was a lot of moments through it, and we're going to probably dive into all of that. So I won't get too far ahead of myself, but what I will say, best race of the weekend, inhuman ability that Alex Palou has to do what he did. There was a moment where I thought he might challenge for the win at the end of that race, so that would have been exciting. But I will just say, for the most part, I think you and I both discussed how Penske needed a win, and that happened. And for Will Power, with everything that he has going on right now, there was just so many good storylines out of this one. And then, of course, you getting punted into a tire barrier, that's definitely a story. That's something that I can't wait to hear about from your point of view. Glad you're good. But it ended up being great, man. And I think now the big thing to look forward to is just watching two badass ovals that we're going to get to see in IndyCar, and hopefully a lot of people will be tuning into those. So overall, Portland did not disappoint. The dream of the 90s is alive in Portland, and I just will drop that there. If you're a fan of Portlandia, you understand that. If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and shout out the crowd in Portland too. Great crowd as usual in Portland. Great weather. Obviously a little hot on race day, but fantastic, turnout for folks there. Yeah, it was great. And honestly, what's just oddly ironic is there was a Java house set up, and they were handing out free cold brew coffees, and I got one to start my weekend. And not only did I start my weekend with a cold brew, I finished my weekend with a Java House, edition of the cold brew. It was very cold. It felt like
will
a
you
very
be drinking
cold...
any more of those?
I will not. I probably will not, but I will. I do have a meeting at a Java House coming up on a Wednesday with a person by the name of Christian Rasmussen that we will talk about. So we'll see what happens there, but that'll be we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's get into the race results first. Let's go through the race results, just to make sure everyone's got them. Obviously, Will Power the winner. A lot of laps led. One of the cars who started on the red tire, I believe, went long initially. Actually, I don't know if he started on the red tire, but I know he went long on the first stint. Christian Lundgaard was second. Obviously, he was fast all weekend long, super fast. Alex Palou third, did what he needed to do. I mean, only led 5 laps, did exactly what he needed to do. Graham Rahal was fourth on the alternate strategy, the 4-stop strategy. Now, Graham Rahal was behind me when we pitted, and Graham Rahal was behind me when I was trying to get by the slow Christian Rasmussen. So adds to my depression after the weekend, because we were on the right strategy, and that's really difficult to see because we were obviously, I think we had plenty of pace to be able to do that. So it hurts my entire soul and body. Alexander Rossi, first top 5 of the season. Very impressive weekend for Alex Rossi, just solid all weekend long. Callum Ilott, another person on the same strategy as Graham Rahal and I, coming all the way up from the back to 6th place. Great finish for him. Again, he probably will never do this show. I don't know if his team doesn't allow him, like we've told him, but Callum Ilott, great guy. Scott McLaughlin was 7th. Marcus Armstrong, 8th. Another really solid day for the Meyer Shank crew, 8th and 9th. I don't know what the stat was for their double top 10s, but they're always in the top 10. Felix Rosenqvist did start up front though, and not really the strongest day for him. Colton Herta was 10th after being involved in all kinds of stuff. I mean, I saw Colton flying through the air at one point in the race. That was crazy. Scott Dixon got into Joseph Newgarden a little bit, so that hurt his day. Kind of a weird one. Christian Rasmussen was 12th. We're going to talk a lot about that. No idea how he didn't get penalized, parked, or basically just sent home after what happened between us. Louis Foster was 13th. Stingray Robb, my teammate, was 14th. Good day for him. Robert Schwartzman, Nolan Siegel, Rinus VeeKay, tough one. He got spun early on. I was actually right in front of me. Devlin DiFrancesco, David Malukas, really strong qualifying effort, and then just nowhere in the race. Not really sure what happened to him there. Kyle Kirkwood, blown away by this one. Kyle Kirkwood, 20th. Kiffin Simpson, 21st. Marcus Ericsson had an issue in the pits, I believe I saw on the internet. Jacob Abel, Joseph Newgarden, who got spun out. Tough day for those guys. That's wild. And then Pato O'Ward, who had a mechanical issue. Really difficult day for Pato. Obviously myself, and then Santino Ferrucci, who only did 1 lap and then spun right behind me. I saw that. That was crazy. So those are the results. I mean, we can get right into the elephant of the room. I want to describe how our weekend basically started off, which was fast. We were 6th in our group in practice, 12th overall in practice. Felt pretty good. I mean, this is the first road course that we had been to together as a team. We were there obviously last year, so that helps a lot. We have a lot of information to look at. I have a feel for the car, which is super important, and that means we can get started quicker. And we get to qualifying, and on our black tires, we're about 6th or 7th, I believe, which is, again, the best we've been all year long on primaries. and we're expecting to pick up around 6 to 7 tenths on the red tires. And we go out and it kind of just feels like we're driving on rocks. Very, very strange. Just not quite the red tire balance that we're used to. Just not quite, just not the grip that the red tires have given me all weekend. And we find out afterwards that, and again, this is just, I don't know whether this is just bad luck. Obviously, it's just these things can happen, and this is no fault of anyone. But to truly report what actually happened, our right front tire on our set of reds was on the left front, and the left front was on the right front. So these tires are designed directionally. So if they are on the wrong side, as Firestone told us, it will not handle correctly. It will not be gripping the track as it should be. So quite detrimental for us. That would obviously meant our qualifying was ruined. It obviously means that our pit box selection for Milwaukee is really terrible. So just small things. This year, so many small things have affected us. And honestly, even this small thing probably is another one of the reasons why we ended up back with the, with some of the slower cars at the beginning of the race and having to fight through them. So that, one thing leads to another. But yeah, that was really disappointing. And it was a real shame because we got into the warm up and I thought, again, the car in the warm up was good. Felt like we could really be racy. But yeah, we got into the race and it honestly felt, I was very excited for it. Couldn't be more excited to get into the race. Lap one, obviously I'm seeing Santino and my teammate Stingray, they went off and came back on, and that was honestly a very, very close interaction, but I saw Santino basically slot in right behind me. And then in my mirror, I see just tire smoke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that just happened. Santino crashed. And so that was, he's had a tough go of it lately, let's be honest. I mean, we all know how our interactions have been. And shout out to Santino for being on the Dale Jr. download. That was a very interesting conversation. Currently, I'm not interested in that dinner. I'm not interested right now.
Oh,
I respect Dale for trying to do that, but I don't know if that's going to happen yet. So we'll see. I don't know if, I appreciate Santino's words, some Santino wordage there. And again, as we've said multiple times, talented driver. Just again, the morality side of human being, maybe not my favorite of humans. So that's how it's going to go. But yeah, that was interesting. So, I do hate that. I don't like to see anyone crash though. So we're not happy about that one. Saw that in my mirror. And that immediately meant that the strategy window opens up. We had started on the primary tire. So we're like, all right, it's time to get on the red tire because we thought the red tire was going to be the go-to tire for the whole time. And a couple other people thought the same thing. We pitted. We were able to overtake actually 2 cars in the pits. So I was ready to go. Felt strong, felt good on the restart. We had started making moves past my teammate Stingray, and we were starting to make our way forward. And we got to a point where the cars on the primary tires were really struggling. The primary tires were not good, and there were cars that had started on them and that had stayed out and continued on the primary tire to try to maybe extend that stint. And, I had got around, there was another yellow because there was a couple spinners in turn 1 and 2. Renus was one of them, I believe, and then there was some debris. And so I was restarting. I was like, we've already made up like 6 or 7 spots, like 7 or 8 spots maybe. And the next cars in line were actually Colton Herta and Christian Rasmussen and Kyle Kirkwood. I'm like, all right, well now we're in the game. And Chase, I'll get your thoughts on this too. I want to hear your thoughts on it. But Christian Rasmussen had been very much on the defensive. Joseph had tried to pass him, and he literally drove into the side of Joseph. There's a lot of videos of this too that were put online. Just drove into the side of Joseph as they were going out on the straight. And again, I'm not really sure about why that is. This is all out there. I'm just going off of the video and the real evidence that's there. And Christian being very, very defensive everywhere, but hitting every single person that was passing him, which was kind of wild. And so when I see Christian kind of, drive Colton into basically the drainage ditch that's on the back straight now, which again, you can defend, but there's also reactionary defending, which several people did get penalties for. So I don't know how Christian didn't immediately get a penalty for reactionary blocking, because Colton wasn't fully alongside of him, but he got driven all the way to where he was using a drain. And that's like literally, Colton's car was like 3 feet in the air. I was right behind it. I was like, that's crazy. And so I get a good run on Colton. I pass Colton, guess where? On the outside of turn 10, and was able to accomplish that very fine. And Colton's a tough racer. Colton's a very good racer, very smart guy. Didn't see any accidents happen. No crashes. And I could tell we were much faster than Christian immediately. And went into 1. Went into 2. I'm like, all right, well, this is, he's going to be very bad out of 6. He was very bad out of 6. And to be honest, I did not intend to try to pass him into 6, but he was so slow into 6 and so defensive that there were so many cars tight behind me that I actually couldn't stop any more than I did. So I went to his outside because there was so much room there and he was so tied to the inside that I was like, there's no way he can be this, like, there's no way he could actually drive me off when I have this much positioning on track. Now, sure enough, he legitimately just drove us straight off the track. And, we saw this exact same situation. I'm not sure if you folks remember before with Santino Ferrucci. Santino Ferrucci drove me off the track and himself off the track. Now, race control, guess what? They issued a penalty to Santino right then and there. Like, it was a 3-position penalty, something like that. He had to drop behind me. Funny, no penalty for Christian Rasmussen, who drove me and himself off the track. So race control, I have a huge problem currently with the standards of racing, and I'm not entirely sure how we fix that, but I think a very large conversation needs to be had with race control and how we're dealing with the rules, because it seems like some of them are applied, some of them are not. And I've tried to have a conversation with those guys before, and I respect them because they have a lot of experience, more than me. But some of this stuff is absurd. The driving in our championship right now is disgusting, honestly. Unless you're racing against the good guys. Oddly enough, the champions and the multi-race winners are the guys who race well. Who would have thought? Like, it's incredible. What I can do 15 laps side by side with Pato O'Ward at St. Louis, no issues, because he's smart. He's actually, he's a race winner. Alex Palou, do you see Alex Palou getting in any, scuff ups or getting knocked off or being, well, first of all, no, because he qualifies well and he's up front, but like, it's so obvious that the standard needs to be elevated, for some of the other folks. And if they don't understand that, then there needs to be penalties issued, because it's crazy. The IndyCar has degraded so much from a racing standpoint. We have such a great product, and we could have an even better product if people weren't just driven off the track every single time there was an overtaking opportunity. I'm sorry, but that's not racing anymore. It's not. That's NASCAR. Like, and if we have NASCAR, there's plenty of contact there. And if that's what you enjoy, that's awesome. But that's not the IndyCar racing that I grew up enjoying watching. So when Christian drove us off, I was obviously very upset, because that's happened to me now multiple times this year. And I honestly didn't want to, I was not going to stand for that. I was like, this is insane. Like, I cannot believe that just happened once again. And he not only sacrificed, he eliminated me, but also ruined his own race, which again, that is so stupid. Like, that, if you're going to try to wreck someone, why would you wreck yourself? Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So then we're going to go into an area of the track, and this was very much on camera, where I had got right back up behind Christian into turn one, and he had just got passed by someone else. And so he moved a little bit wider before turn two, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it. I'm going to go in here. And was that a very overly aggressive move by me? Yeah, absolutely. But there was some space there. And you know what? If he's willing to use his car the way he did, you know, I'm going to make sure that he knows I'm there. And I don't want to have to do that. That's never, honestly, this is the first time in my career I've ever been like, you know what? I'm going to just try to rub some wheels here. I'm going to try to bang wheels and maybe make a, maneuver. Cause honestly, the pass actually could have been done if he was like maybe a foot wider. But let me tell you how much positions that we lost by me and him making contact in turn two. We lost 0 positions, maybe half a second of on-track time. So there's a certain portion of the internet was like, oh, you retaliated. I was like, are you guys crazy? What type of retaliation is it when there's no penalty for either of us? Like when there's literally nothing that happens to either of us. It's like, you know what? Yep, a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of side-by-side contact. Hey, brother, not happy with you, but we're still racing. That I don't understand how people can be upset with. It's a numbers game. We go around to then turn 6 once again, and he is just so slow. I mean, a literal roadblock. And I have a fantastic run down the back straight. Fantastic run. I'm like, all right. Honestly, I thought he was actually letting me by. He was going so slow that I thought he was letting me by because he felt bad that he has now just been a complete roadblock. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go here. This is great. I had even bigger run than Colton. And I've passed him so much that I can barely see his car, even in my left side mirror. And we're going into 11. Again, I'm on red tires, so I have a ton of grip. That's been my fastest section of the track all weekend long. We've been P1 in the sectors there all weekend long, so I'm pretty happy with it. And let me describe this to you guys in about as detailed as I can get it. So I turn in super late. There's a lot of screenshots floating out on the internet because like there's a one overhead view, which again, it's there's not a lot of the video clips that have been out there, but there's an overhead view of me turning in, him turning in, and of like the 5 screenshots that I see, his car is pointed straight at mine. And that is just so egregious that I'm sorry. And thankfully, I got to appreciate the internet on this one because most people have seen the light. They're like, yeah, this is kind of crazy. Because if I'm that much farther ahead and I'm actually giving you so much room that you can use the curb, which is the normal line, the curb and the concrete, and we haven't made contact until after the apex, sorry, dog, that's on you. Like that means that you have not only used me as your brake, but you have completely relied on my car to slow you down, and knowing that there's only one result for me, which is the wall. You do not go through there. Like this is common racing science. And look, you can have your whatever view you want to have on it. That's cool. But I'm going to go ahead and go with a lot of the folks that, I respect as race car drivers, as Indy 500 champions, as fellow competitors that have basically, sent a lot of messages through. And a lot of us agree on the fact that, Christian has been one of the most dangerous people to race with all year long. And it's a shame because as we had Christian on the show not too long ago. You called him a psycho, yeah. Chase, which I thought was aggressive. That is true. Turns out he is a psycho, but he's a good dude. Like I like Christian as a person. Like I even said that in the interview. Like to be honest, I'm proud of myself for my post accident interviews because I was like, hey man, I like this guy as a person. Like Santino, I think he's a fast driver. I don't like him as a human, but Christian I like as a human. Like I think he's a good person, yeah. But doing that to me, it was such an obvious just an obvious lack of respect for your fellow human being. Like, what we're doing is inherently dangerous. And maybe these kids don't get it because they grew up in an era where like everything is so safe. I grew up in an era where people were getting killed in this sport. That's the raw truth. And what we're doing is super dangerous. When I hit that freaking wall, dude, it hurt like crazy. My feet went through the pedals. They snapped my brake pedal in half. It peeled the toenail off my left toe because it went through the pedal. And that's not a fun impact. Like, that's if my wheel catches on the grass a certain way, I'm flipping over the fence. So, you know, that's this is a terrible thing to say. I wish I was severely injured because maybe that sends a message. Maybe that finally. Now, again, I don't actually wish that, but part of me is like, dude, this guy needs to understand something. And I hope race control, as they look at it this week, they're like, that's not acceptable. Like I had people, now I won't say any of their names, but I had people who are multi-time Indy 500 champions and folks that are like, dude, he should be like banned for a race. Because you have to send a message that you can't try to kill people at high speed corners. Like our contact at a 50 mile an hour corner in turn 2, you know what? Hey, that rub, like that's a bit of hard racing, you know, whatever it is. But you can't use your car like a weapon. I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's not racing. That's not how. And again, if you want to be the, you know, obviously there's a ton of people who hate me now on the internet, which is great. That's cool. But, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on there, but you can't, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what driver you're up against. We literally saw the same thing happen 2 corners earlier. We saw Alex Palou drive down the inside and not force it in there. I mean, he's the only one who was like, you know what? I've already lost this corner, but I'm going to hit this guy no matter what. And you can't, that should not be the standard. It just should not be the standard. So, you know, those are my thoughts on it. Obviously, it hurt like crazy. It still hurts now. I appreciate the medical team and the safety team. Obviously, the cars are designed super safe, but when you hit a tire barrier at 160 miles an hour, I mean, that's one of the most sudden stops I've ever been a part of. And yeah, I will definitely try to get my brake pedal this week because my foot went through it. And if that goes through it in the wrong way, I mean, I'm getting injured, like severely injured. So, you know, I got a little bit lucky there. But yeah, just wanted to kind of go through that and just give my perspective. And I've got half the field in my text messages after that. And I've never been texted by so many drivers in my life about anything, any successes or like difficult things. Everyone had something to say about this one because you cannot race like that. And if the stewards don't understand that, well, then at some point, I hope, you know, they're able to get the general gist of like, hey, we don't want to see people getting hurt in high speed accidents. Like that's not what any car is supposed to be. So I hope the standards are cleared up. So Chase, I'd like to get your thoughts now. Obviously, I was a long tirade, but I want to hear what you thought about it.
No, as well said. I mean, you pretty much answered every question that I possibly had for you on that entire thing. I guess the only thing that I can just double up on is, are you surprised? Like, are you genuinely surprised that a guy that we have, you know, watched race all year, discussed, multiple drivers have made comments about all year long and on how he races. Are you surprised that when you were put in a position racing alongside him the way you were, that this happened? Like,
honestly,
were you surprised?
I sort of was because I thought that and I saw his interview afterwards, like, I wouldn't do anything different. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's, I just, and again, a lot of people are like, well, there was no penalty, but that's a human decision. That's not based on rules. That's because either our stewards just felt that there's just too much going on there and maybe he penalized himself, but like, that's, I've watched a lot of racing. I'm an IndyCar fan. We saw like Devlin DeFrancesco get penalized some positions for blocking someone. I got driven off the track very aggressively. Nothing happened. And let me remind you guys again that Santino did the same thing to me in Mid-Ohio. There was a penalty issued. So again, where is the consistency? This was far worse than the Santino one. Like I got sent way far off the track.
No.
So that's my immediate problem is why is that not being called again? Because if that penalty is called immediately, then I don't end up in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like that, then it's like, okay, it's settled already.
And that's the thing too. Like everybody on the broadcast, like I mean, you could hear Townsend, Hinch, Will. They were all just in agreement.
Townsend is Hinch and Will Buxton were like very fair and reasonable about it. And they're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Townsend, I think, just likes to stir the pot now. I don't know what has happened to Townsend.
Does.
Like Townsend was my neighbor when I was a kid growing up. Like I literally got to interact with Townsend so much. But he just likes to stir the pot, and I definitely have a lot of problems with what he says because a lot of it I think is just literally to stir the pot.
He said a lot of things,
but
not just you. But I mean, he said something about Scotty Mack that ruffled people's feathers.
It's. I mean, look, whatever. I mean, he's a California guy. Maybe he's just trying to make some good TV. I don't know, but you know, Hinch and Will Buxton were pretty reasonable about it.
Yeah,
and they actually understood it because if you saw it, I mean, it's just. The thing is, if you understand what racing is and what good racing is and what you see respectful, like I have always tried to be a respectful racer because I feel like that's been something that I'm quite proud of. Like I'm able to go out and race against some of these guys like Pato O'Ward. Guess what? Pato O'Ward respects me and I respect Pato. That's because we battle at the front and that's what happens. Now, am I at the front very often? Currently this year, no. We've had a really tough year on the road courses, but we had a very fast car at Portland, and we've had a very fast car at a lot of places. We were fighting for an Indy 500 win. We were fighting for a win on every over so far this year. So, you know, that means that, you know, I get a chance to race with those guys that do show respect. And so I know what that's like. So I try to pride myself on that. But this was just a pure, it just can't happen. I mean, again, like, that hurt like crazy, and I just that's not the IndyCar racing that I grew up watching. That's not the IndyCar racing that I was told that we, you know, are demonstrating to the planet right now. I thought we had good competitive racing. That was just like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna make sure this guy crashes. I just that's not it.
I want to bring up this too. Like another element of it is the fact that you did race with Ed Carpenter Racing. It's no secret that you had the issues with that team, and to have it be that team, a driver from that team that this happened with. There was a moment on the radio, and I'm not sure if I'm correct on this, but Woody Harvey, I believe, is who is in the box for Christian.
It was actually not.
If that's true. If that is true,
I actually know who said it, and I won't say his name because he came up to me at the airport and he apologized, and he's a very close friend of mine, and I was very disappointed with what he said. He didn't see it. He wasn't in that corner. Again, honestly, this is going to sound really bad, but there are obviously the upper management of that team, ECR. They probably were hoping that I would have been rolled out of that accident in a coffin. Like they definitely have no respect for me or my life or whatever. I think that they like, again, love the mechanics and all those guys on that team. You know, my engineer Pete there is awesome. But the upper management there, I guarantee there's like a hit on me. And that's a shame because
it might have looked like that.
I've had more contact with like that group in the last 2 years than should ever be necessary. And that's a shame. That is a shame. But
it is. It shows their character. It shows the character.
That's only my opinion. And you know, the person who did say that on the radio did come up and apologize to me. He did feel bad because he didn't see the accident at the time. After he saw the accident, very different thoughts. Because again, common sense and common intelligence, common motorsport intelligence, unless you're like, tied to that organization, obviously, which, hey, that's cool. You can tell that was a super dangerous and just flat out stupid move to do. And, was it a risky pass by me? Hey, absolutely it was. But I had just done it. And you know what? I'm never going to back out of a move that I've already halfway completed. You know what I mean? That it actually would take more for me to back out. And it actually might have been more dangerous for me to try to be like, whoa, hang on, I'm going to back out here, because I'm given plenty of room. It's tight. It's definitely tight. Absolutely, it's tight. We're real close, but he's on the optimum line on the inside curb. And again, just to fender blast me in the left rear, literally the left rear corner. I mean, the screenshots from the sky are actually so obvious. It's hilarious. Like, I actually laughed when I saw it. I was like, wow, I actually gave him more room than I thought.
And that's from 7?
What?
Is that from is that from 7 or 10?
This is 10 where I got hit.
Okay. I didn't see anything for 10. I saw 7. I didn't see anything for 10.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of overhead screenshots of an overhead camera view, and it's just like, it's beyond obvious. So it's just one of those things that it's very frustrating, because all the people that were near me in the championship had a great day. We had the worst day.
Right.
And we were hoping that this is going to be our best road course. And this one really hurts. It really hurts the body physically, but also the soul.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, Austin Hill.
So you're going to be meeting with him.
Huh?
So you're going to be meeting with him. That's what you said in the beginning of the show. You've spoke to him since, like, can you share anything of what's been said and when you guys are going to be meeting and what you guys are just, I mean, I think it's obvious what you're going to discuss, but like, what has the conversation been between you and Christian?
Well, oddly enough, this is kind of very funny. There's a lot of people who have, there's actually not a lot of people. There's a very small amount of people who are like, oh, why do you say things on the internet about what happened to you? It's like, well, because that's what you do. When a race happens, you put out what happens to you in the race.
Right.
And if you get fired off into a wall at 160 miles an hour and end up in the hospital, I'm probably not going to be thrilled with it. So I'm going to say something about it. The tweet that I put out about Christian Rasmussen, 720,000 views. It's got more views than any tweet I've ever put out in my life. So,
rightly so.
It's at 8,200 likes, 722 retweets. So, you know what? I mean, maybe displaying emotion is good. Obviously, there are people who, completely go. This is actually the first time as well that I did not click on my mentions, because I didn't care. Normally, I get into it with the people who are just honestly flat out just trying to get a response from me. I didn't do it this time. I didn't go into the mentions. I didn't care to. I was like, you know what?
Hateful lately.
This is so obvious to me that I don't have to explain it. I literally don't. And I think it's something that again, everyone's welcome to share their thoughts. There was a lot of aggression out there, and I feel like I just explained everything about myself. I literally just told everyone, like, hey, yeah, did I go in very aggressively into turn 2 and get up into his side pod? Heck yeah, I did. You know what? What happened to us? Nothing happened. There was zero. Nothing happened. No one lost any positions. So, that's a really terrible retaliation if none of us lost anything and I didn't even pass him. So again, intelligence has to take over there and figure out like, numbers, lost a ton of positions because he got ran off the track by Christian. We had a little wheel banging in turn 2, no positions lost. One driver ends up in the hospital. That's me. So 2-1, I guess, I lose, but it's just the dumbest thing ever. So
I don't think you're alone. So I don't really think you lost. I mean, you talk about how many people responded to what you put out there, and I think that shows
was a very general,
well.
Yeah. It was the general consensus. And look, I respect people for throwing that out there and a lot of the comments. But you did ask about our meeting. Obviously, I left the track. I had no intention to stay around. I was hurting. I just wanted to get out of there. And I had text Christian. I was very upset with him. I will not say what I sent to him, but I texted him. I was very upset, and he texted me yesterday and he said he's around this week to chat. So you know what? I will chat with him because I'm an adult. And again, I don't mind him as a person. Like I think he's a good person, but he's also much younger than me, and he could have a very bright future in the sport because I think he's very fast. But again, I am not sure if the Chip Ganassi's or the Roger Penske's are looking for the people that are, highly regarded as, extremely dangerous. And hey, maybe Ed Carpenter is like, that's cool. Like that's fine with him. But normally in this sport, you want to be aiming for the top of the top. And so he probably doesn't give a crap what I have to say, honestly. But I've been around a lot longer. And, if you saw the amount of drivers that, anyway, I won't get into that, but there's a lot of people who obviously,
an opportunity to learn something. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to maybe.
Well, it's like, hey, you know what? I understand it. This might have been too far. And if he doesn't, then you know what? Like, that's not for me to, that's fine. Like, but we are going to have a discussion. Absolutely. We're going to have a discussion in person, and you know what? That's completely fine. But, I'm happy to hear, I'm happy to hear what he has to say, but, at the end of the day, there is,
for sure.
There was no apology or anything like that at all, which I find kind of wild. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna sit down and if that, and whatever happens. So we'll report back next week. But I was gonna mention earlier, tough look for drivers of the number 21 cars. Obviously, Austin Hill has not necessarily been. If you're familiar with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, he has driven several folks into a wall recently. That's been crazy to watch. Honestly, I don't know how he is doing that or why he's doing that. But I saw a couple good tweets about like, drivers of the 21 car, tough time hooking people into the wall recently.
I just made that distinction. That is actually hilarious. Like, and I didn't know we were going to bring up Austin Hill on this show because that was a shit show. But yeah, that's wow, 21. I think that's enough said on that. That kind of like summed up the whole thing right there. You get put those two guys in a room, see what happens.
That was it. Yeah. So anyway, that was a long drawn out chat, but we do want to give credit where credit's due. Will Power, really, really happy for Will Power. There's a lot of talk about the silly season and Will Power, and he's kind of like the final moving element to set everything off. And he had a couple cryptic comments, and I'm excited to talk to him in our episode here, in our interview here very soon, because I have a lot of questions for him. I do. And Alex Palou, I mean, 4-time champion. Alex Palou is on a generational run. He's doing stuff that truly is incredible. I mean, it's astounding, but congratulations to him. I'm sure, you know what, we will have him on the show at some point, maybe the end of the season. I hope he doesn't win any more races. I hope I win the next two, but we will have to talk to him to wrap up the season, to get his thoughts on how it all played out. But that was a crazy event and a lot of interesting strategies. A real shame for Pato O'Ward too. We got to shout out Pato O'Ward. I mean, what a just brutal way to go out in the championship. And he's done such a good job recently, and he's been so fast, and he put the thing on the front row, and inherited the pole obviously because of Christian Lundgaard's engine penalty. What a tough one for him. That was brutal to see.
Didn't see it coming at all. I really felt like we were going to have, and I mean, we talked about it on last week's episode too. Like, I mean, I had Pato on podium, and Christian, he just showed out, man. I don't think that there was ever a doubt that he wouldn't have gotten podium after practice, but to see Pato be able to do what he did, it's just, it's almost like the racing gods were just like, Alex has to have his 4-time today. I'm sorry. Like, cause like, how else do you explain that? You know what I mean? Like that is the most, you couldn't write that. It's a story. It's a storybook script, almost in a weird way. Cause I was really excited to see cause I knew if Pato wins, I'm like, okay, like, great, whatever. Like we get to see, this kind of go into another week or whatever. But no, the moment that happened, I think a lot of people were just already kind of like, it took a little bit of the wind out of the sails, and nothing against Alex, like at all. But it definitely, for the competitor in me, for the competitive racing fan in me, it definitely took a little wind out of the sails seeing him get shut down like that, because you knew what was coming. You knew it was inevitable at that point. And all credit due to him, man. If he does win the next 2 races, though, if Alex does win the next 2 races, which we're not bringing that in here, that's definitely something that we got to make sure you do. But if he did, he would be tying AJ Foyt all-time win record in season, which is huge. He didn't quite get the 11. I think a lot of people probably thought he would have won this race this weekend, because a lot of people were wondering if he was going to get that 11-win season, but going to have to wait and see if he can do that again. I don't know if we will see that, though, because this is very rare that we get any type of racing has a driver to do something like he's done this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's an impressive run. Obviously, we hope to stop him from winning the 10 races. That would be really important. But yeah, before we get to willpower, I want to say thanks to everyone for listening here. Obviously, this was a really tough one emotionally to kind of go through, and physically, because of how difficult the accident was, and hate to have to report that, and the things that I say, there's a lot of emotion in what I say because I care so much about what I do, and because I put everything in my life into this, and this is what I want to do to be successful in the sport. And we've been in positions to, be successful this year. We were in a position again at Portland on the right strategy with a fast car. And when that stuff gets taken away from you, I'm going to get fired up about it. And so, if you have a problem with that, like, that's cool. But like, imagine if you have, something you've been chasing after for a long time, and someone else decides to basically, fire you into a very hard surface, at a very high rate of speed. And that, that goal of what you're trying to do and what you've worked for, just immediately goes away. And we're in a time of the year too, where every race is very, very important. The whole year long, it's very, very important. But the silly season is going on right now. We're trying to stick around. I want to be around, obviously, more for this team, and in the sport in general. And there's been commitments that have been made, and we would like to continue those, that, to continue to be with this team. But I live life one weekend at a time. So it's really frustrating to have to go through something like that when I see, those guys at that team are just, hey, they're locked in, got all kinds of money flowing around, and everyone's happy, but we're not. We're on a shoestring budget, and trying to beat some of the big operations. So it's a tough one, but I appreciate you guys joining us, and willpower. Great to talk to him. So with that, I think we obviously don't have any ratings yet, so we can't talk about any ratings or anything. It's obviously getting quite late here. So I do want to mention real quick the whole Joseph and Scott Dixon thing. I thought that was kind of a wild one. Scott Dixon spinning Joseph. That was just kind of a weird one in general. I don't know if Joseph missed a shift or something, but it was just basically not well timed. And I will say this season of Joseph Newgarden's has just been, I don't even know how to describe it. I truly, I'm right next to Joseph in the championship, which is 18th and 19th. Like, we are not where we want to be in the championship. And that's just, it's just so hard to believe. It makes me, honestly, I can't wait to see how Joseph starts next year. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know if they go to some sort of shaman in the off season or some sort of sagebrush situation,
I can
or
hook him
go
up.
to the mountains, go over to the mountains somewhere to do some sort of like Aaron Rodgers retreat. I don't know what they're doing over there, but yeah, I don't know, something over there to cleanse the souls. But
Yeah.
it's you know, Joseph Newgarden bounce back year could be wild in 2026. We'll see, but it's a crazy one. I believe that he's going to be very fast in these last two races, of course, but so am I. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Joseph and I can split wins. Maybe we can both be on the podium together. Who knows? But I thought that was a crazy one. And obviously, I mean, for race control to dish out a penalty for that, I guess I understand it, but why not for others? So again, I think there's a deeper discussion that needs to be had with our race stewards. It's hard to have the conversation if they don't immediately see what's going on as dangerous, but I will chat with them at some point, I'm sure. And I would love for the other drivers as well who share the same thoughts as me to also maybe be in that conversation. But we'll see what happens. So with that, let's get to our guest. Let's get to our new race winner for this year. Obviously, many race wins in his life, but Will Power. Well, folks, we finally have someone else new to talk to this week because Alex Palou didn't win. I mean, he did win a championship, but we're focusing on the race winner, the first race winner for Team Penske this year, which I think a lot of us are very surprised about. What a crazy year for you guys, Will Power, but congrats, man. Back-to-back at Portland. You've got that place dialed. I mean, that had to feel really good for a multitude of reasons.
It did, yeah. That's the most I've seen the team celebrate as a whole, not just the 12 car, but both teammates came over to Victory Lane, all the other engineers. When I got back to the truck, they're packing up, everyone cheered and clapped. We hadn't done that. It just was a big reset to realize how lucky you are to win, which, I think it's a good reality check to go winless for that long and struggle.
Yeah, it's honestly, the Penske year has been monumentally wild to watch. Obviously, as someone who has been in the sport for a little while, but someone who's followed it for a long time. I mean, what's been the mental side like of the team? Like, there's obviously been a lot that's gone on, of course, and really not necessarily directly involving you much, obviously, other than the fact that you're, driving for the team and then also apparently fighting for a ride. But, the mental side for the team going through what they've gone through this year, what does it look like at the Penske organization?
I think it's tougher on the guys prepping the cars, the engineers, the people that have to grind, week in, week out. The drivers get to fly home and, in some respects, I feel like as teammates, we've all got on better because we've all struggled together. And usually that's what happens, right? If there's one guy winning a ton, there's a little bit of dissension towards that person. It's just natural as a human in a team. But when you're all struggling together, there's been a lot more joking around in the engineering office, kind of, in a funny way. That side of it has been quite relaxed, but you definitely feel it from my engineer, just because he's the guy I work closely with. I could tell that, aside from, you've lost three key people, they've had to move up. They've had to take up the slack. Plus, you're not doing well. It certainly felt that from him, just in that he wasn't quite enjoying it as much. But I mean, he was so over the moon and we won. We've had the last 3 weekends, we've been quick, made the Fast Six. And, I could, Dave, I've been with for, almost 20 years. You see, him starting to, get a little bit more lively and seemed like he was enjoying it. But it's a very strange year. Very, after India, I just knew this is going to be a very interesting roller coaster style year on many fronts, not like just results wise, but also like what happens with me and so on.
Yeah, I mean, we look back at Iowa, and again, we're both, we saw you at the front, and then an engine failure. I mean, you've had 2 engine failures, which kind of has been mind blowing, right? That's very abnormal from the Chevy camp, and kind of surprising, but out of your control entirely. You know what I mean? And even with those issues, you're still the highest driver from Team Penske in the points. Like there's no arguing that. Obviously, Joseph's had, well, probably the worst year of his life, I would say, which is kind of crazy. And Scott's had some crazy stuff happen to him as well. So going into this off season, I mean, it's not, there's literally nothing that you have to prove to anyone, which I feel like is crazy. But people ask that question because you're like, yep, still feel good, still feel like the willpower that is so willpowery and so dominant.
I mean, it's just funny that, I mean, I feel like you always had to prove yourself in this sport. It just, that's just a fact. So it's
I felt weird saying that, but it's like, but you start to see people in the media, they're like, oh, well, like willpower's seat, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, do you guys know how many trophies this guy has sitting at his house, and like how many championships? It's crazy for me to look at.
It is a bit crazy for me as well that how this whole thing has played out. That after winning 3 races last year, they don't even talk to you in the off season. I was like, man, the reason I say that is when I negotiated that contract, the last one with it was actually with Tim Cindric, he said, we'll talk at the end of 24. Cause I said, well, actually I wouldn't mind having a 3-year deal instead of a 2, but so the fact they didn't talk to me, I thought, well, that's interesting. Okay. And so it went, and then we're here now, but I keep saying it. I'm driving as good as I ever have. I'm as fast as I've ever been. I'm still quick. The series has got tougher. There's no question. You don't see the same people in the top 6 week in, week out. You just don't. And apart from Palou, an abnormal year. Again, another thing that was a strange year on many fronts, to have a guy could win 8 races in this current formula that we have where everything's so even. Bloody impressive, man. Bloody impressive. But it's I can kind of laugh because it doesn't matter if I don't drive again. I've had a great career. It's just funny, man. It's very typical of life and racing, that the year that you're up on your contract is a year that the whole team really struggles, and just a strange year all round, lose key people in the team. It's not like I'm 30 and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose one of the best seats that you can have. But it's been interesting to sit back and watch.
Yeah,
we'll probably be involved, of course, but yeah.
Well, you're obviously working now with a new management group too, with like Fernando Alonso's group. Oriol Servia is involved. Has that been quite helpful for you, you'd say, overall, like from the management side?
Yeah, Oriol has been great. Yes, he's very good. He's very good. He knows me well. He knows the sport well. And it's just allowed me not to focus on anything but the driving. Not that I can do much anyway until after the season, but he has a lot of contacts, and and Alonso has a lot of contacts in WEC as well. So if I happen to go over there, got teams over there. So that's kind of the reason I did it. There's a lot of reach within that organization.
Absolutely, no, that's smart. Chase, I'm gonna let you jump in here.
Yeah, kind of just following up on everything we're talking about here. I saw that a media member had asked you about it, and you made the comment, maybe it's my decision. Like, do you feel more confident than ever that it is completely in your hands, or do you still find yourself kind of, worrying from time to time?
I don't. Yeah, I said that because, maybe the win put it in a position where I could make a decision, but nothing's changed, actually. it's still the same situation. I will not know until after Nashville what happens with me.
Are you confident?
That's confident that I'll get something or get back to Penske, or I don't. Yeah,
that you'll be behind the wheel of a car in 2026.
Yeah, I think yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Whatever it is, it is, man.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to go with a more confident, because that would be it wouldn't be IndyCar, I think, currently without Will Power. So that'd be wild. I'm very curious to see how it plays out, because obviously it affects a lot of the other atmosphere around other drivers knowing where we're going or what's going on. I obviously would like to be a part of the championship as well, but it's going to be one of those things that, I mean, everyone's talking about where's Will Power, and I'm like, that's a crazy talk. Like that should be an easy, that should be an easy thing to do. So
it's just a bad time to be on the market, because everyone's got contracts, everyone's signed up, man. It's it depends, what you want to do. Do you just stop? It would suck to stop now, man, because I'm at the top of my game. I really am, like, putting a whole championship together, just race weekends, my knowledge, everything. I'm just so complete as a driver. It'd just be such a pity to stop now.
For sure.
That's so crucial.
I completely agree. Let's talk about Portland specifically. What do you think makes you, in this era of the car, very good at Portland? What's been something that's like, hey, me and the guys are clicking, everything's good, the car, exactly what you want? Is it the higher speed nature of the track, a little bit of this, a little bit of that? What do you think?
Look, man, I turned up with last year's setup, which won the race and qualified second, and way out of the window. Well, nowhere.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So big changes overnight on Friday night. Bought a different car. Just kind of watched the videos of the quick guys like Lundgaard and Rosenquist, and then made changes accordingly. And then, P4 in the next practice, and then P4 in qualifying. And at that point, I thought we have a good shot at the race win here. The car's good. And the track itself, I like it. Like, I keep adding every year, like, details that you didn't get right the year before. And, that's what it's come down to. It's not like I'm just straight up good at certain tracks. I mean, some tracks just click with you. I'm trying to think if I've struggled and won at most tracks, both. Most tracks I've been to, just about every track on the schedule, I have struggled at, and I've also won at. So it just shows you can't just assume that you're going to be good there because you were good there last year. I know that more than ever. So I turned up ready to be on my toes for the weekend at Portland, and sure enough, practice, P18 or whatever. It's like, all right, a lot of work to do, but then turned it around. So that's nice. We've had that Toronto, definitely had it at Laguna. We were nowhere in practice, and then we missed the last practice and just had to take a swing at it, educated swing, and qualify in the top 6. So yes, kind of the way IndyCar is now is you can have a great balance, but just have the wrong philosophy. It's got that tight. Like, everyone's probably in a pretty good window, but you got to be in a really good window. So, being 18th doesn't mean you're like a second off the pace. It means you can be like 4/10 off. It's very tough.
Yeah, it's crazy. What do you think this year? There's been the first 4 races. Everyone said there was no cautions. It was actually kind of calm, I would say. Not a lot of craziness. And it feels like after the 500, we've gone through a summer of several different altercations, lots of people coming together, lots of people in more side-to-side contact disputes maybe than normal, than at the beginning of the year. I mean, I even witnessed you and David Malukas bang wheels at Iowa. Like, whoa, hey, we got a little bit of wheel banging on these ovals. But again, it seems like everyone's racing either tougher or at a little bit wilder of an edge. What do you think changed from the beginning of the year to, let's say, Indy on? Because it does seem like the driving standards have changed a bit.
Yeah, it did baffle me. Well, I thought about that at Portland. I thought this is a good chance to go full green because, we had been doing that at the beginning of the year and yellow after yellow after yellow. I'm like, it surprised me. I'm like, man, I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like you think people are driving more aggressive. I was put in the wall at Toronto by Pato, got a bit loose and hit my wheel out of my hand. And same with me and Rasmussen. We were side by side, and then my back wheel hit his back wheel, spun him out. Ruined his day. That was at Toronto. It was just yeah. What'd you say?
I was right behind you. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you said love that.
No, well, I mean, currently now, yes.
I was like, whoa, he's really getting into him. But yeah, oh man, it's a tough one to say that everyone has just stepped up the aggression because I haven't been. I mean, yours was like, yeah, that was. Front wing to the rear wheel at the fastest corner on the track into the wall. I don't know about that one. I was like, It's probably at that point, probably should have lifted out of it. Not you.
I know.
But
thank you.
But yeah, but I mean, the rules are the same. Like, if you take someone out, you're going to get a drive through and you're thinking like, both instances, like turn 7 when you got driven, just total. I don't know but did it knock the wheel out of his hand? Is that why he ended up just driving straight off the track in 7? Because that's what it looked like. I think you guys touched, and he might have similar with me.
What happened was, I think
the wheel gets knocked out of your hand, he drives off, and that would make more sense.
He hit me in the side pod, and then that's when the wheel snapped out of his hand.
Okay, yeah. Because I thought it was weird that he ended off as well, but.
Yeah, he hit me pretty hard, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I actually don't have an answer for that because I'm shocked. I am shocked. I really thought you'd get more green races, but yes, there's been a lot of yellows. I haven't really thought to myself like, oh my god, this is way more aggressive than it was. It's about how it always is. Maybe just the luck of the draw on those first 4 where once it got going green, it's getting through that first bit. And once it spreads out in green, everyone gets in a rhythm. There's a lot less chance of a yellow. So, plus the starters, I mean, there would have been a few yellows at the beginning of the year if you weren't able to start the engine. But I don't think there needs to be anything done about it. I know there's been talk like, do we need to talk about, stricter guidelines and basically more penalties? I don't know about that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think there's a lot of people. I feel like some of the drivers that I've talked to that some of the contact is definitely, and maybe it's like, thankfully, you probably haven't been involved in a lot of it because you've been at the front a lot too, which is good. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing to, maybe I've found myself in a lot of positions where I've been not before in my life, but I thought the racing for sure, like Pato and I at St. Louis was awesome. Really enjoyed like a lot of the side by side racing at Iowa. Even you and I, like, there's really good stuff there. Like that, I thought has been very good. Like a lot of the short oval racing, I think, has been fantastic when it comes to like standards.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I was out earlier at the Gateway and just watching you on Pato. I thought that was just it was just awesome because it was prime time as well. I just thought this is going to be so good for TV and so good for the crowd. I mean, it turned into such a good race. Iowa was a bit like that as well. I mean, I've been back in the pack a lot. Starting back there a lot. And yeah, just as it goes in cycles. You kind of get away with, you kind of keep out of stuff for a while, then suddenly you're in it every week and getting abused on social media because you did something, and oh my god. And then you'll go clean for a long time, feel like, well, I'm just a clean driver, and then suddenly you get in an incident with someone. it is just tough racing with a lot of good guys. And yeah, you think there should be something changed? Do you think there should be?
I think that there's been some inconsistencies. That's all I would say. I would say some of the things that I've seen, there's been a lot of reactionary blocking penalties, which is good. Like that's important.
Yeah.
But there's been some, like when Santino and I had our coming together in Mid-Ohio, like he was penalized for that. Like that's fine. And then Christian obviously did the exact same thing to me at turn 7, and then there was nothing there. And that actually we would have avoided the whole turn 10, flying all at 180 miles an hour if that was affected the same way. So that was the only, I think consistency is important from that standpoint. But again, it is, you still have humans making calls, and it is hard.
Yes.
It's a hard job.
Yes. Yeah, well, I would absolutely question, you'd have to sit down to stewards and say, how did you come to this decision for him not to get a penalty? When he drove off the track so much, he ended up off the track, or they deemed it knocked the wheel out of his hand. And at Toronto, we've had that a couple of times, and we've let it go, and that's why. I think you got to look at each individual incident by itself and understand. Like, the one thing I would say is, like, when you do go to the stewards, they usually explain the whole incident and go through their reasoning. I've had that a few times, and why they didn't do it. I would guess they didn't do the Rasmussen turn 7 one, no penalty, because it ripped the wheel out of his hand. I would guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But he hit you hard enough to rip the wheel out of his hand. So, I mean, that to me was a clear penalty. Yeah. Like, I looked at when just looking from the outside, I was just, that should be a penalty. But
it is what it is now.
Yes, exactly. The next one should definitely, just looking for the helicopter, that should absolutely be a penalty. Was it a penalty or was it not? No penalty. I mean, I would be, I mean, sure. You will be asking why, but
we'll be having some more conversations this week, I'm sure. So
yeah.
But Chase, I want to let you jump back in here.
Yeah, I want to get your initial thoughts, and now that we've had some time to let it all marinate, what are your thoughts on the new Fox deal that IndyCar signed, and knowing that we've got a 5-year term coming up with them through 2030, how do you see this impacting the drivers, the teams, and the series overall?
Oh, I think it was very positive. I actually don't know the terms of the deal. Like, you're talking about Fox buying a third of IndyCar or Penske Entertainment. Right. Yeah.
Well, the media rights are to 2030, so that was part of it.
That was part of it. Yes, having a TV deal, I think is great. I mean, I think it's the ratings have been up. I haven't actually looked today, but all positive. All I've seen is good stuff happening for the last decade with IndyCar, to be honest. I mean, it's just, it keeps slowly, incrementally improving things all the time. Venues, the quality of teams, the money in the sport, the TV deal, all those things are just getting better as we go. It's a slow process, but, year on year you improve, and that's another big improvement, I think. Great partnership.
What do you think this year, and we'll let you go here in a bit, but who would you say has been the biggest surprise from a positive standpoint, but then also a biggest surprise from like the whoa, yikes, tough year standpoint? Obviously, I mean, it could be easy to say Joseph, but he's had a lot of crazy stuff happen to him, and a lot of it's been out of his control for sure. But who's been the biggest like positive surprise to you, and then the biggest like negative surprise to you, think?
Positive surprise. Let's say Meyer Shank, sort of Armstrong and Rosenquist. Not that big of a surprise, but like a legit, almost in the top 6 championship contenders. You're taking Penske out, you're taking, some big players out there. On the other side of that would be, probably the year McLaughlin's had. You know what I mean? Like, I would have said that he was going to be an absolute, championship contender at the end of last year. I was like, but that's the whole team. Like, we've all struggled. yeah, just looking at the whole Penske situation is just shocking. We just won our first race now. Only got 2 to go. So I think, just that.
No, I was just curious. There's this year, I feel like, has been one of the weirdest years. Like one of the kind of the wildest across the spectrum, other than Palou. Like Palou has been, every race dominant, but from second on back to the championship, people have been all over the place, in the top 10, out of the top 10.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Will, we appreciate you being here, man. Congratulations on the win. Honestly, I was really pumped for you because I personally, I'm obviously, trying to, when you try to fight for a seat in any situation, it's tough. But if I'm trying to fight for someone and for something, and then I see you having to fight for something, I'm like, that's just not even fair. Like I don't like, that's crazy. So I'm hoping that, it all works out for you guys really well. And honestly, I hope that you stay at Penske. I hope that that's where it is. And if for some reason that it's not, that you're in a good spot somewhere else, as long as it's not whatever seat I'm going for, then I'm happy.
No, good stuff, man. Yeah, we'll know soon. And it's either way, it's I've had a blast. I've been lucky to do it for this long. I really have. It's it's the reason I get up every day. I've never stopped learning and trying to get better. So we'll see. I'll just keep digging for these last 2. And yeah, man, appreciate. I've had a lot of fun racing you as well, especially on the ovals. You've taught me some good stuff.
Well, that's kind of crazy to hear, but we've got 2 more. I hope to share the podium with you once again at some point, either at Milwaukee or Nashville. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, that's I would expect it. You're always up there, so yeah.
All right. Well, Will Power, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Go, man. Thank you very much.
We appreciate Will Power for joining us. Always a great guest, and just super happy for him. Very, very curious to see what the future holds for Will Power. I have a lot of opinions on what's going on and how it's going on. And, but yeah, I certainly believe that he does, he has earned the right to retain his Penske seat far above the driver who I believe is in contention for that seat. So we'll see what happens. But obviously this is an off weekend for us. So, I all kinds going on. We got the simulator this week. I'm testing the BMW GT3 car that I'll be racing at the Indy 8 Hour this week at Road America. So there will still be some stuff going on. And then obviously we will preview Milwaukee next week, and hope everyone is safe and sound up in Milwaukee. A lot of flooding that was at the racetrack I saw over the weekend. Crazy rain up there. So that was wild to see. But with that, let's get to our Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run off.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
This week, we went to a year that we have not used before. We went to the 1921 Indianapolis 500, which was, of course, won by Tommy Milton. I'm sure you all knew that. And I found a driver that I thought would be a random Indy 500 driver, but he's actually an Indy 500 champion. But this year, the 17th place finisher, Joe Boyer, is our Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 driver of the week. We don't often have Indy 500 champions as our Ricky Treadway Indy 500 driver of the week. But Joe Boyer was born in St. Louis, Missouri, grew up in Detroit, Michigan. At the 1924 Indianapolis 500, Boyer participated in 2 different cars. His original entry, number 9, he qualified 4th. Boyer experienced mechanical troubles, and on the 109th lap, he was given relief. His relief driver went on to race that car until lap 176, when he crashed in turn 1. On lap 111, Boyer took over car number 15 from L.L. Corum. Boyer charged to the front of the field and led the last 24 laps in Corum's car. Corum and Boyer were scored as co-winners, the first time in Indianapolis 500 history such a designation has been assigned. In 3 previous Indy 500s, 1911, 12, and 23, a winning driver had been given relief help during the race, qualifying, starting, and finishing in the same car. That's kind of wild. So Joe Boyer, Indy 500 race winner. Not this year, but Indy 500 race winner as a relief driver. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think that the craziest thing about him, the one thing that I see on this Wikipedia page is an article from the New York Times, September 3rd, 1924. His last words were, "Glad I saved them," because the way that he died, it was to avoid a crowd at a race. So big props to this guy.
Mega props.
His first
to Joe
race
Boyer.
was the 1917 George Washington Sweepstakes. What a name for a race, by the way.
Wow. That's wild. I see that. That's crazy. Well, we learned something new once again about incredible Indy 500 history, and we appreciate you folks for listening. Subscribe to the channels, whatever you want to do. I posted a vlog. Thanks to producer Bobby for getting a vlog about Laguna Seca. Check that one out on the YouTube page if you want to have a look. But we appreciate you folks, as always, for listening. 2 races left in the NTT IndyCar Series season. Tough one for us over the weekend, but we've got 2 of our favorite races in front of us. So can't wait to get there, and we'll see you next week on Speed Street. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.